this is going to be the how-to on taping a rifle. So first I want to start with the supplies that you'll need. You're going to need, obviously, your rifle. You need a Phillips head screwdriver. So the Phillips head is the one that has the little like plus sign ends. Okay. Usually just a standard size works fine. You'll need 3 types of tape. The first type you'll need is what I like to call strapping tape. This one is Scotch, and it's not actually called strapping tape. That's just kind of what the color guard world calls it. But if you notice, it's basically clear tape with string on the inside, and that's just to help reinforce the rifle. You'll also need 2 types of electrical tape. One, just standard black electrical tape. You can find this at Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's. And then the other is white. Now, I would suggest with these getting this from either Lowe's or Home Depot. The Scotch brand, like $3.97, is the best to get because it's an actual pure white. The ones I've seen from Walmart and stuff have like a grayish tone to it, and we want them to be nice and pearly white. And then also, you would need some scissors. Today I'm just going to go with my hands. All right. So what you'll do is you will open your rifle. Okay. And open it from the plastic. And then, if you notice inside, this little piece of paper kind of gives you an idea of where to tape it as well, but we're going to go over that, but that's a good guide right there. So what I do first is I remove the hardware. So this is what you'll need the Phillips head screwdriver for. If you're not comfortable with it, get your dad to. And you want to, some of these are in there pretty tight, so you just want to make sure that don't strip the screws, because once they're stripped, it's hard to either get them in or out. So you'll pull that off, kind of set it to the side. Same thing, you'll set those off to the side. So that's your bolt. My suggestion is if your parents have the same size screw but a little bit longer, I'd say no more than another ½ inch longer, to use those because it goes further in the wood and makes it these have a tendency to break the more you drop your rifle. So if they have a longer screw that fits the same size, I would use that. If not, the ones that come with it are fine. The other part you're going to need to remove is this. These are already kind of stripped usually when they come, so my suggestion is try one, and if it doesn't work, remove the other. It doesn't matter which one you remove, it just one of them needs to be removed, otherwise it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to do this. Sometimes they're easy and sometimes they're hard. All right, same thing, set that aside and you just kind of let this fall. So then you pretty much have just a naked gun. So this is where the strapping tape starts. So you want to take your strapping tape, and I usually start about 2 to 3 inches above where the bolt would be. So I start and I lay it flat. Now it's not going to be clean, it's not going to be pretty, because the way that the gun is shaped, it's not going to roll perfect. So I like to just roll it. If you're looking, I just take it and I roll it, and I kind of go at a little bit of an angle. And then don't forget, when you go over this part, just lay that down as much as you can. And then, because the next thing you do is you'll tape right over it. And you're going to do that. It doesn't need to be super, super tight, but just tight enough to where it's holding the gun in place. You can do 2 methods. You can do it yourself, or you can roll the rifle around like I'm doing. And you're going to want to go all the way to the neck of the gun. So So to about right there on the gun. So basically to where, because this is the weakest part of the gun right in here. That's where it's going to sustain most of the force because it's usually dropped here, and then that's where it's going to hit. So once you do that, then obviously, if you can, I might actually have to go get some scissors. So you'll cut the strapping tape off. Now, if you notice on the picture, it tells you to tape on all these. I only put strapping tape here. If you want a little bit added security, you can put it in these parts that I'm going to tell you to tape up, but that is just completely up to you. All right, so once you do that, you're going to take your white tape and you're going to basically cover where the strapping tape was. So I just started kind of where it was, and then I work my way back up the gun. Now make sure that when you're doing this that you don't have any gaps in the tape. Then that's just more of a what it looks like. So make sure it kind of like lays on top of the other piece of tape a little bit. So you have a little bit of overlap throughout the whole thing. And once again, that's not doing anything to help the gun. That's just more of aesthetic. You don't want an ugly gun to start with. So I'm going to wrap that. This is just going to take a little bit of work. This is the not fun part of pillar guard. All right. All right, when you're done, it will look like that. So nice and taped all the way around. Like I said, it's not gonna be perfect. You're gonna have some bumps, and that is totally fine. All right, there's a few other spots you want to tape with the white tape. This one is your nose of the gun. So I usually take it and I go from top to bottom like this, and just a little bit, like a ½ inch overlap on either side. And then I just make sure that the nose, that foam on the nose is just completely covered. Once that's completely covered, usually 2 to 3 strips. I kind of start where the tape was, or about 1 inch or 2 below, and I wrap around, same thing, kind of overlapping the tape all the way up to the top. All right, from there, you'll do the same thing with the butt of the gun. You'll go the length of it, same thing, covering the foam. This one's usually probably going to take about 3 pieces at least, because you'll need one on each side and in the middle. And then, good. Now, if you left the bottom thing, so if you can get the top one off, that's great. If you didn't, that's fine. You'll have to do this step once you get it back on if you remove the bottom part. But if you didn't, what you'll do is, you see where the screw is, you will start your tape actually a little bit below that, like this, okay? So over the strap itself, and you will start wrapping there. You'll do the same thing, so you'll wrap over the screw and a little bit, probably about 1/2 inch over. I like to go about once or twice around where the screw and the bolt is. That way it's nice and secure. And then we go all the way up, and then all the way to the very top. Till the foam is covered. All that, you just pop that. And then at this point, I would switch gears, pick up your black tape. Sorry, being loud. You want to do probably about 6 to 8 inches of black tape, and you want to do that twice. And what you do with the black tape is you take it, and the little bolts that are on the strap, you cover it, because those have a tendency to unscrew and will pop off. So you just cover that, you wrap the tape as many times as it needs to go to where it looks like that. So see the difference. You do the same thing with the second piece. If for some reason, most of the straps are going to come nice and super tight. If for some reason you do this and then you go to put the strap back on and it's super loose, all you have to do is remove one of them, and it's like a belt loop. You just swap it down to the next hole and it'll tighten it up. So once you do that, you get the little silver screw that you had, and you screw it back into the gun. Okay. This is the hard part. So once that's screwed back in, you'll take your white tape again. You do the same thing. You go probably just like a 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch into the strap itself. So you're actually taping the strap down, and then you'll pull that around. Like I said, you want to wrap this one a few times. You can get thick with the tape here, not too thick to where it's like a big, huge bump, but you can get thick enough to where, because this is the part of the tape that's going to kind of like pull off because it's being stressed by the bolt. But you want to wrap, and you want to go up from the strap, or from the hardware on the gun, I'd say probably about 2 or 3 inches, just to make sure that that's, some people like to tape from here all the way up. That's once again up to you if you want a little bit of extra security if you're brand new, but if not, like I said, you can just go up about 2 or 3 inches and then stop right there. And then so your gun has 4 tape spots, from the bolt of the strap all the way to the end of the gun, the middle section, from the top bolt to about 2 to 3 inches up, and then the tip. Okay. Once that's done, you can then take your hardware or your bolt, you'll put it back on there, put your screws in. You have to press a little bit just to break the tape. All right, and your gun is now taped and ready to use. Like I said, the straps are going to come pretty tight if it's a brand new gun. As you can see, normally you should be able to like easily grab this. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Don't be afraid to kind of pull on it a little bit and stretch it like up this way. Just don't do too much to where it becomes too loose. You never want the strap to just like shake in the wind. So it can be loose enough for you to grab, but it doesn't need to be so loose, because that's going to affect your rotations and everything. So that is how you tape a brand new rifle.